Throughout our lives, we have very few certainties, one of which is loss of loved ones. In this series, we will look at how we each handle such events, and also how we each find comfort in those dark times.
Hello, I'm Morgana Starr. I'm a psychic medium. By being a medium, that means that I am able to connect with those on the other side. If somebody has passed on, I am able to help them communicate with their loved ones that are still here in their physical form. So that gives closure to those that are still here that have had a loved one die. There are sometimes also that what happens is that a spirit can have a sudden death and they have gotten stuck between the worlds and they cannot get to the light. So I am able, with the help of the angel that I work with, to help them cross into the light and find their peace and their happiness, hence helping give a sense of peace too to the one that is still left here in their physical form.
Now, today we're talking a lot about the work that you've done with some of my family members, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
You helped with her most recent passing, and it's something to really help bring closure for her at a time where she was extremely vulnerable. Can you tell me a little bit about what you experienced that morning? It was kind of interesting to me because it wasn't as if we had called you and told you that this event had occurred, but I remember distinctly the phone ringing and me picking it up and you saying, "Is your mother there?" that you needed to speak with her right away.
Uh-huh.
Can you?
Yes, I do remember that, and I called your mother, and she came to the phone right away, very distraught. And I remember vaguely, because when I do this work, it's very channeled, and so I don't always remember the details. If I write them down, then I might remember them, but most of the time I don't jot that down. But I do remember that she was very frantic and upset over her spouse's sudden passing. And I immediately got the sensation that he was trapped and he had not crossed to the light. We went through a process over the phone, and it was a very emotional situation. So at times when this happens, I tap into the energy of that spirit that is trapped. And it's very, like I said, very emotional. So I will cry with them as they cry and help them see the light. We brought him to a happy time in his life. We talked to him and I counseled her how to give him love and forgiveness so he didn't feel like he had to stay to take care of things. And we were able to, with the help of the angel, would help go open the gates of heaven, open those doors so Jesus would be right there and the angels, his loved ones on the other side, make it clear so he could go on to the light and find the peace that he needed.
Have you noticed an increase in the number of individuals coming to you seeking this kind of work?
Yes, it's been very much so. It probably increased about 5 months ago. Usually the veil between the worlds gets the thinnest at Halloween time. But we have noticed this year that it has increased before then. And as we go into the end of 2012, it's not going to be decreasing. The veil's continually getting thinner and thinner. So people are more aware of those on the other side, and those on the other side are coming through making a noise. And a lot of times they do come to me first and alert me to it, so then I am ready when their loved one comes to me in a session, and we can communicate with them and give them both a sense of peace, and then the loved one that's still here has direction in their life.
Now, when we talk about the loved ones and after they've passed, the question I'm wondering is, I mean, we've all seen the movies like Ghost with Patrick Swayze, and the big tunnel of light coming down immediately right there. Do some of them, I mean, why would they get confused and not, in your interpretation, why do they seem to be confused and not want to move on?
What happens is because of religious training that tells the person they have a belief system then that when they did something wrong while they were here, and even I have had this situation with a little old lady that was just as sweet as pie, but she had thought some bad things in her lifetime. And her belief system was that because she had even thought bad things, that she didn't deserve to go to heaven. So when she saw the light, they mistake the light for hell, the flames of hell, instead of the light of heaven. And so then that will stick them back, and they were trapped between the worlds. And then they're trying to get a hold of and communicate with their loved ones. And what happens is, because their energy is low, when they get up to their loved one and they will try to comfort them and hold them, it will in fact bring grief, more sorrow. But when it is explained to them that they will get to come back and visit their loved one, but after they go to heaven and they go to the light, then they will have some different energies. And if you're counseling, and I've counseled with the little children that have died too, to let them know they're going to get some magic, and then they can come back and they can help their mommy and daddy. Then they're able to go and know that they can come back whenever they want, but they'll come back and really be able to help.
You seem to have a lot of contact with spirits, I mean, beyond just the realm of being a psychic and offering the classes that you offer, and as well as the individual sessions. I've heard that you also work with a group of individuals that go out to different locations.
Yeah.
Can you maybe tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, it's my way of giving back. You know, my professional work is this work, but I like to give back, and so I volunteer with the Florida Paranormal Research Foundation. And what's different about this paranormal team is they use a medium to go in and to really connect with the spirit and give closure. By the time that a family has gotten a hold of the team, there's paranormal activity, so we don't really need to go in and prove that it's there. But a science team is sent in first, and they get readings, and there are little pictures, and the electromagnetic frequencies and all that is picked up. So they record all of that. The medium knows nothing about the place at all. The next week we go in, and with the head of the director of the team, Tim Tadana, he does the counseling, where the medium, and when I've gone in, I can just speak from my experience, I will directly channel whatever spirit is there. And then he counsels that spirit and takes them back to a space of joy and light. Sometimes it's some really severe things. Sometimes it's grandma moving dishes around because she didn't like the way it was put. But sometimes it can be some pretty intense, even down to murderers and energies like that that are trapped. But we have to go in with love and compassion and see them through the eyes of the divine source to help get them to the light, to heaven.
Hi, I'm Helen. I'm a CNA at a local hospital. My husband passed this year, Bob Reichert. He passed May 4th. I'm in grieving right now, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about it, see if it might help somebody else right now.
Why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about some of the things that you didn't expect, that now as you take a look back, maybe some of the reactions that you yourself thought you would handle in a different way, or, you know, we all have preconceived notions of how we would perceive or handle an event like this. Can you help us understand a little bit more of what it means to actually go through this process?
Wow. It's difficult. It's really difficult. The day it happened for me, it's like your soul leaves your body. For me, I had a neighbor tell me about the death. My son was on his way over to tell me, and the way she told it, it threw me in shock, is what the doctor said. I ended up falling against the wall, and after that, it just wasn't the same. It was just like, it's like something hurt me deep in my soul. Mm-hmm. People don't understand that, but when a loved one's taken, Sorry.
It's okay.
It's like your soul hurts. Nobody can understand unless it happens to you. It's like you hurt so bad, and there's nobody you can tell. You can say anything you want, and everybody's always like, oh, I understand. No, you don't. My husband was a suicide, and that made it even worse. It's like he's gone. There's no getting him back. There was no closure because they take the body. I couldn't even go and brush his hair because you always think of the things, what can I do? I need to help him. I was in shock. It was like, even when I called the hospital when they said he was there, I was talking to a nurse and I kept saying, Denise, where's Bobby? And it wasn't clicking, and I kept saying, where's Bobby? And she kept saying, Helen, he's gone. And I said, yeah, they brought him here. I know, I need to come see him. She goes, no, honey, he's gone. And it's like an emptiness. You're trying to look for something to fill that hole, and there's nothing you could do. He's gone. And it's, you're broken. You're just, and then everybody tells you, oh, you're normal. You're normal. What is normal? I don't know. From one day to the next, I'm okay. I'm not okay. There's a gunshot come in down at work. My mind goes right back to Bobby. I go downstairs. The morgue's down there. I know that's the last place he was. And I look for him. It's crazy, isn't it? But I look for him.
At this point, I'm just going to ask you to kind of take us through what we believe might be the events leading up to this time frame. Maybe not necessarily the event itself, but if there's any preconceived idea of maybe where some of this began to lead from.
Bob's been sick for a long time. He was sick for a long time. He had back pain and everything, and it seemed like every time I took him to a doctor, it was another medication. And then he heard about a place where he could go and they could fix his sciatic nerve and everything was going to be a lot better. Well, he grabbed it because he wanted to feel better. So we take him over, and he has the surgery. Within 2 hours of the surgery, they call me and say, Mrs. Reichert, we need you to come to the 4th floor. There's been an incident during your husband's, surgery. And I guess the nurse thought she was being funny or whatever. And she said, well, at least he's not paralyzed. And I said, what? Oh, you didn't know? No, nobody's called me yet. So I go up to the 4th floor. Now, mind you, I'm by myself, 130 some miles away from home. And I go up there, and Bobby's laying flat, and he's in pain. The doctor comes in, and he tells me 4 different times, I'm sorry, it's my fault. I cut the Dura sheet, which holds the spinal fluid. And he said, we have to ship your husband out to another hospital. Now he's going 30 some more miles. By this time, I called my boys, and I told them, get over here. I said, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, he had to lay there. Within that week, Bobby had another surgery. The doctor come out, and he said, I don't know what they did, blah, 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 whatever. Anyway, after that, Bobby started going downhill. He was already in pain. He was already depressed. All the medication he was on was not helping. Then when they sent him home, I had to leave him there for about 4 days, which hurt me because I had to get back to work. He comes home, all of a sudden I'm doing IV therapy. I'm not a nurse, I'm a CNA. I'm doing IV therapy for about a month. The nurse that comes into the house tells us about, it might make him depressed. And I'm thinking, I don't need him anymore depressed. And I'm trying to help Bobby, but I have to work too. So here's all this guilt being put back on me. Bobby starts going downhill. I notice he's starting to stare off. He's starting to say crazy stuff. Matter of fact, one day he was telling me about, he said, Helen, he goes, because I'm not going to be able to support you like I used to. And I said, Bobby, stop, we're okay. And then he said, no, I'm not ever going to be the man I used to be. When he told me that, I didn't know he had been talking to some other people, but Bobby had planned his death. He knew exactly what he was going to do. We as the family knew what was going to happen, but what could we do? The medication he was on, with doctors putting him on medication, it's like nobody cared. They just wanted to cover up it with medicine. It just, it didn't matter. He was, you know, it seemed like nobody cared. Just covered up with medicine, knock him out, or whatever. But try going to work, and you're working all night, and you get phone calls from your husband, he's scared, or something, or he's saying he's seeing things in the house. You tell the doctors they're not listening. So what do? And then you get scared. You leave. The next thing you get a call, he shot himself. Between the guilt for me and my family, it's unreal. You couldn't even imagine the pain we're going through, the heartache. It's only been 5 months, and I miss him. And there's nothing anybody can do or bring him back.
Okay, we're now going to take a look at another aspect of all of this, and a lot of us want to believe and feel that family and other supports will be in place to help us make it through these kind of time frames. For you, can you give us an understanding of maybe the positive supports that were there, the ones that you felt should have been and may not have been there, as well as just the realizations of things that maybe come from this from these kind of thoughts? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it wasn't for my 2 sons, Roger and Jeremy, I don't think I would have made it this far. I mean, they've been there, my total support. My granddaughter, like she said, she tells everybody she's had to babysit Grandma this summer. That's crazy coming from somebody as strong as I am. But when this happened, it knocks you down. And there's so many times you want to be alone, and then you don't want to be alone. You want people around, you don't want people around. It's like, I don't know, it's loneliness. It's because not everybody can be there for you. They got families, they got jobs. You find yourself at home by yourself. You think about the good times, the bad times. You get so angry. I've been so angry at Bob for what he did. You know, I was there. I was taking care of him, you know. And when they get to where Bob was, he pushes all away. Everybody, grandkids and all, because he was hurting. Maybe he thought it would help him, that if he shoved everybody away, that then, you know, it hurts, because there's really and honestly, Lee, there's nobody there, you know. Even you say, Mom, you call me anytime, but in the middle of the night, like me, I'm awake all night, you know. I can't keep calling you, but it's like, okay, who's there? I don't have anybody. And I know you're thinking, Mom, you got me, but I don't have anybody. It's me, you know. And then, like, people don't understand when I call them. They'll say, oh, call, you know. And you call, and they got other things to do, or they can't stay on the phone. And a lot of times, it's not because they don't want to be on the phone. It's because they don't know what to say to somebody like me. They want to help, but what can you say, really? What can you say to somebody like me? The pain is there. Remember I told you a little bit ago, my soul hurts. And only people that have gone through this can tell you. It's a hurt way down deep, you know. I feel for anybody that's going through this. Just had a friend that her son died, and I told her I'm there. I mean it. I'm there. I don't care if I say the wrong thing, but at least I'm going to be there. It's a hurt.
Now, of course, you've mentioned your side of the family being there for you. What about his side of the family? Was there any contact? I mean, how did they handle all of this?
I'm so mad at them because I've taken care of Bobby for how many years? Over 20. You would think that they'd call and say, Sis, I just want to say thanks for taking care of him. I know they're angry because their brother died, but I was the one there taking care of him. Even at the memorial, they kept saying, you know, yeah, we knew he was going to do this. I should have called back. Well, you should have called back. Your brother needed you. You weren't there. How hard is it to pick up a phone? You know, just pick up a phone. None of them called me. None of them did anything. They had all kind of questions the day of the memorial. What was I to say? You know? I don't have the words to say to them. I'm still trying to find words for me, you know? It's, family doesn't understand. Just pick up the phone and tell the other one, thanks for taking care of my brother or something, you know? I mean, yeah, maybe I'm just searching for stuff to comfort me. But I have a right to be comforted too, but it's not there. I have nothing to say to his family.
I remember the day of the event when I arrived here. You were very distraught and everything was going on around us, but then almost kind of out of the blue, and I do mean out of the blue, we had a telephone call that come in. Do you remember that telephone call?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember answering the phone, and Morgana Starr was on the other end, who has been a friend of yours for a while, and she was almost demansive. I need to speak to your mother right now. Would you mind sharing the events of that phone call with us?
Yeah. Let's see. Morgana called and just said, Helen, we need to cross Bob over. Now, a lot of people don't understand that, but it's when, see, Morgana's a medium, very, very good medium. A lot of people don't believe in it, and I do, because I do pretty well the same thing as she did, and she had called me, and she said, Helen, we need to cross your husband over. That means make sure he goes on, that he doesn't linger here. And I remember, because I was just in a state of shock, that it seemed like it was just in front of me, just like you are right now, and I could see it all. And she said, Helen, Bob doesn't want to cross over. He wants to stay with you. And I kept telling her, I said, no, he can't stay. And I said, tell him to go with his kids. And she said he still doesn't want to go. But eventually his sister, and it was amazing, because she had no idea about my husband's sisters or anybody. And she actually said the name Marcella. And I said, yes, tell him to go. And he finally went, and that gave me comfort. Like I said, a lot of people don't know. It's not a gimmick or anything. She really did cross him over. And for me, it helped me. I guess we all want our loved ones to go to a better place. And for me, for her doing that day, and what I seen, which was real, in my heart, I know it was real, that I seen him go on. And that's the one thing that gives me comfort, that I know that Bobby's okay, that he's in a better place.
It's only been 5 months,
Mm-hmm.
and I understand that they say it takes anywhere between 18 to 21 months before somebody starts really coming out of the shock of what's happened. Looking back now, if you had any words of advice for individuals that may see this video, or others like it, to maybe help them through some of the obstacles and hurdles that you've encountered at this time frame, or leading up to this time frame, would you have any words of advice, anything to help them out?
The only thing that's helped me was my faith, first of all. That's the only thing. Don't get into drinking that. It's not going to help. And I'm sure if your loved one was here, they wouldn't want you drinking and all that other stuff. Mine was, I listened to people and I got into counseling real quick. I was lucky enough to find Stephen, and I also had the minister's wife counseling me. It was like a double take, but I needed it. And they helped. Nobody's strong enough to get through this by themselves. I don't care if it was a normal death or whatever. You have to talk to somebody. You have to. If you have to be alone, you want to scream and cry, scream and cry. Do whatever you have to. Sit the person, even if they're gone, in front of you and ask them why. Get it out, because it's not helping holding it in. For me, it's like you said, it's only been 5 months. I'm so confused. I don't know, from, like you called me today and said, Mom, it's Saturday. I'm like, okay. People don't understand. They see this outside shell. Oh, she's doing good. No, and the inside is broken. And you're right, it does take a long time to mend, to fix it. Lee, it's just a hurt that just don't go away. It's there, and like I said, I think the biggest thing is when we say, what is normal? If somebody could tell me, I'll tell you. My sister said the other day, says, everybody has their own being normal. And I said, what is it, Sandy? She goes, really, sis? I don't know. It's just you finding out what helps you.
In closing, we each must try and find comfort and courage to keep going. Never give in to the darker thoughts. We must each answer the question of what is normal.